Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Foxy98 here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here with my F1 2018 career mode with Mercedes-Benz here, and we're starting with the Australian Grand Prix. And there's just a few things to note before we get into today's video. So first of all, obviously, I just want to state that I am currently away on holiday at the moment. So if you're watching this video and you're probably wondering the echoing sound, that's because I'm inside of my room that I'm staying in, and it is a tiny bit echoey. Nothing I can really do about that, unfortunately. Yeah, we're here for the Australian Grand Prix, and we're going to be driving for Mercedes-Benz for this career mode. And I kind of wanted to address why I'm driving for Mercedes-Benz. Obviously, it's a top team, so it means that the terms of like a road to glory style isn't really here. But I'm going to go through it now and explain basically why I've chosen it. So the reason I've chosen Mercedes-Benz this year is every single game of F1 I've ever done, starting with F1 2016, obviously, when I actually started to get noticed for doing Formula 1 content, every time I did a career mode in a top team, it always just did the best in terms of the viewership and just people overall watching the videos. There's a lot of people that love the Road to Glory style with the Sauber, the Williams, you know, the McLaren, Renault, Haas that I've seen out there, Tom 97 HD, I know, done Toro Rosso. And the list goes on, and everyone's doing those Road to Glory styles, but no one's really covering these top teams. And for me, I love the top teams, and it's not a case of I don't like driving the slower tier teams. I don't mind driving them, I've got no problem with them. I just like doing career modes at the top. And of course, as I'm driving for Mercedes-Benz, it means that my difficulty, obviously I need to get to know the game as well, and that's kind of the challenge in my own sense. So I'm going to be trying to compete with Ferrari, I'm going to try and compete with Red Bull, and also Lewis Hamilton as well, and also in this career mode then as well. Obviously, if I don't perform, and I'm trying to get used to the game as well, if I don't perform, then I could get sacked. So it's all there, and there's still plenty to do, even in a top tier team. It doesn't feel like it. And for me, I'm just not really a massive Road to Glory style fan. I just don't like the series. I just feel like they just drag on a bit too much, and I like to keep things short and snappy, and that's how I tend to go. And obviously, you know, we'll be doing loads and loads of challenges as well on F1, because hey, that's what I'm made for. But anyway, we're having a look then, obviously, at the driver profile, and we've gone through. We've met up with Claire now, who's going to be talking to us a lot in the interviews, and we've also met up with our new man. I can't remember his name actually. The person that's the engineer. I can't actually remember his name because Chris is no longer with us, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Chris. But we're having a look at the R&D chart, and we've got a total of 2,000 resource points to spend on our car, and you can see that the weakest point of the car is, of course, the chassis, and also, of course, the aerodynamics. So I went ahead, and with the 2,000 resource points I had 500 points per upgrade. So I've just decided to go ahead and get a basic and start developing every single part. Now, this is probably going to be my last power unit upgrade for a long time, if obviously nothing fails, because I've got the best power unit on the grid, and it's going to take a while for Ferrari and Red Bull to even catch up. And you can see in qualifying, we're actually going to get a wet quali, which is, when you start in F1 2018 for the very first time, it's not a nice thing. So we're going to have to try and deal with that. Yeah, we're going to try and just see how we get on, really. And of course, like I said, we need to try and find our feet quick, otherwise Mercedes will start to get angry. But as you can see then, coming onto the pit straight, starting off with the track acclimatization test, we're going to come across the line and go ahead and set a green score. Wasn't quite a purple score, I was 10 points shy, and that was mainly down to the fact that I actually got a red in one of the checkpoints, which is a bit annoying. Next up then, I believe, is fuel saving, I want to say. If this is a fuel saving one, it's tyre wear or fuel saving. It's one of the two, and I can't really see it on my preview screen because it's that blur. It says tyre wear. My bad. But we're having a look then. We're currently doing, I believe this is the fuel saving one. And as I'm trying to save some fuel, Ericsson unfortunately just gets in the way there, and I chop off a bit of my front wing. We're on simulation damage, annoyingly for me, that really didn't help. Next up, we're doing the brand new practice program of the ERS management. I didn't actually have that much of a problem doing the ERS management. I nearly got into the purple. I was a little bit silly at the start, and then I started to learn a little bit more about the ERS itself. And then eventually I had such a gap behind me that on the pit straight then, I just ran no ERS at all. And that's where all the time just came back in for me, which is quite nice. But we go ahead and set purple then on the race strategy as well. On the qualifying simulation runs. And here's an interview with Emma. I forgot it was Claire. But anyway, having a look at the interviews then, so she can see here, she's talking about, obviously, our time in Formula 1. And this was actually quite a difficult one to go for. Now, in this career mode, I'm not really going to be going for a case of just like a specific style. I'm going to be answering these questions as I would normally answer them if I was given the opportunity to. And as you can see here, she's just going through and she's giving us a couple of questions.
What are you expecting out of this season? Are you just aiming to find your feet in Formula One, or do you see something more? Appreciate your time.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly. And as we count down to that green light, I have to say, Anthony Davidson, that this rain is not showing any signs whatsoever of abating. I imagine we'll be looking at some last-minute setup changes to better adapt these cars to the conditions. What do you think?
The trouble is, Crofty, they need to be thinking about the race tomorrow. You don't want to go jacking up the ride heights and piling on a few points of extra downforce that you're not going to want in the Grand Prix itself. The Parc Ferme regulations mean that you have to make that choice. The best thing the drivers can do is adapt with the tools they have available in the cockpit. Moving the brake bias forward will help stop the rear end slipping out under braking, and opening up the differential can really help tame the oversteer on corner exit. The drivers that can make best use of these techniques will have the best chance for success here today.
Alright, so we're heading into qualifying then, and we're on the ultra soft tyres. It's a little bit wet actually on track, and you can see that straight away there wasn't actually really anything to show in qualifying, because that happened. It was wet, the rain started falling down into the ultra soft tyres. Obviously we were still on the dry tyres. I go into this braking point here, just get a little bit too hot on the brakes, get the power on too early, grass is caught on the rear tyres, back end slides, and it is a crash, and that is literally all I can do for qualifying. I do have flashbacks enabled, but that's only enabled for practice, just so I can get used to the game. When it comes to qualifying in the race, accidents like this, I don't care. We're starting last for the Australian Grand Prix. Literally the worst way we could start this race. And you can see even Hamilton qualified far down the order for this race. But yeah, there was nothing really to say from qualifying. I just hit it in the wall. And again, learning the game like this. And I mean, Emma literally just completely pars me off in the top spin. It's one of the worst qualifying she's ever seen. Bro, you have not seen Stoffel Van Dorn trying to qualify against Fernando Alonso, okay?
New drivers, new cars, and a new Formula One season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that hosts the first round of a 21-race championship, taking us from here in Melbourne, Australia, across the globe before we eventually reach the season finale at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. Here's the track then, 16 corners, 6 to the left and 10 to the right. They make up the 3.3 miles around Albert Park Lake, with turn 1 and 3 providing the best opportunities to pass. We have plenty of changes to the sport this year, with the addition of new safety features, the return of France and Germany in an expanded 21-race calendar, and more tyre compounds than ever before. And of course, we have some big car manufacturers back in the sport too, with Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin returning as title sponsors for Sauber and Red Bull respectively. Joining me to take you through all the action of the 2018 Formula One season is Anthony Davidson. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Crofty. Always happy to be here. I'm looking forward to getting underway. Last year was Mercedes' 4th Constructors' title in a row, although for the first half of the season, it was absolutely neck and neck with the Ferraris. Hopefully this year we can see the chasing pack take that final step, as I'd love to see a championship contest all the way up to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Another story to keep an eye on is the relative performance of McLaren and Toro Rosso, who have exchanged power unit suppliers this year. And given the additional restrictions on engine components, they need to be strong in terms of both performance and reliability.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Kimi Raikkonen's perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, and Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Grosjean, Van Dorn, and Carlos Sainz. Perez, Hartley, Marcus Ericsson, and Stroll, Leclerc, Sirotkin, Esteban Ocon, and Fernando Alonso, Gasly, and Thomas. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Back row of the grid, not a great start to the season, so let's try and improve our position over the course of the race.
Alright, so we're here for the Australian Grand Prix then, and we're going to be going on the one-stop strategy for this race to try and salvage something after an awful qualifying session. We're on the grid, then we've got 5 red lights here for the start of the 2018 season, and we are underway here, starting with a good start actually from the back of the grid. It's a decent start though for the rest of the AIs, but we've got the slipstream here on Fernando Alonso as we head in towards turn 1, and barely any cars really went for the inside line, so I sort of tried to just sneak my way through. But as you can see here, Lance Stroll actually just about stays in front, and I nearly get my front wing actually chopped off there. Getting back into the slipstream with Lance Stroll, going to try and go down the inside in towards this difficult right-hander, but again Stroll holding on quite nicely. So already I'm starting to see the AIs making some improvements. Of course, we know that the AIs have been heavily improved in this game and are very aggressive as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're like, because of course you can't really make these lunging dive bombs like you can in F1 2017, and that was like my persona. That was what I could do. I could just literally lunge it up the inside from a very far way back and then get away with it. But this time, as you can see, you can already tell I'm being much more cautious this time as Hartley fights me around the outside, but eventually he does back off. Hand of anger goes up there, but yeah, already just starting to get a little bit cautious already under the brakes, because I don't really want to mess it up straight away, because of course I've just messed it up in qualifying. But as you can see now, onto lap 1, the end of lap 1, start lap 2 now. We're coming up under attack Carlos Sainz here in the Renault, and we're going to go down the inside here in towards turn 1. He sort of turns in a little bit and it put me off, but then eventually he decided to leave the room there. So Sainz was a little bit iffy about how he was going to defend, but eventually he just went ahead and allowed me the space. And now we're onto the back of Sergio Perez. Speaking of the back of Sergio Perez, just a little bit further up the road now here, we're going to go down the inside of Sergio and make this P10 up into the points paying positions there. And I'm still eligible to do the little dive bombs I can do, but it's going to be a lot tighter, and I need to be a little bit more accurate with my attack. So one thing I can say, if you've not got the game yet, is definitely be careful when you're making your moves like there. I probably would have tried at least lunge at the inside of Grosjean in F1 2017, because I know that the AIs would sort of move and try and give you that room. This year they don't really do that, but this time we go down the inside on Romain Grosjean. Again there, no contact would have been done in 2017, nothing at all. In 2018 though, Grosjean gave me very little space and the contact was made, and you've got to be careful, because of course if you get stuck on the car then and you sort of lose control, it's not going to end well for you. And you can see now that we're making very quick progress through this field, and of course in the Mercedes car we expect to do so. But obviously I will point this out as well, for the next Grand Prix I am going to be raising the difficulty. I think it was on 101, 102 this was, because I didn't really know what I was going to be like. I didn't know how I was going to drive, and as soon as I found out in the practice session that I was pretty competitive, I was going to try and change the difficulty setting for the next session. That's what you could do on F1 2017. On F1 2018 you can only change the difficulty via going to the next weekend, so I had to carry on this way as we take avoiding action here on Kevin Magnussen. Him and Hulkenberg were having a really good scrap, but annoyingly for myself, I actually lost out to Magnussen here, and I've had to get the place back, and I've lost out to Van Dorn, and I'm also losing out to Romain Grosjean as well. So really not a good position there for me to actually try and let Magnussen through, but I had to do it. He lost so much time, and I had to basically lose the same amount of time as K-Mag just to try and get back into the swing of this, as we now get onto the back of Stoffel Van Dorn here in the McLaren now. And as you can see, we're flying our way through the lefts and rights of the chicane here now with the DRS wide open. Van Dorn does have DRS as well, but he has got a Renault power unit, and we're going to go nice and deep now down the inside here on Van Dorn, and we're going to shove him wide there, make him compromise himself. And Grosjean now trying to attack. Stoffel Van Dorn goes down the inside in towards this final sector here, so Grosjean trying to get on the act, but unfortunately for Grosjean doesn't work out. Van Dorn holds his position, and now we're onto the back of Kevin Magnussen. This will be for P8 in this, no, for P7 in this Grand Prix. So Magnussen, there you can see that we're braking a lot later, than Magnussen towards the first corner, kind of showing to me that the AIs are just a little bit too easy. And I can admit that, like, I didn't know as we go deep though in towards turn 3, we were trying out on Magnussen, and again back in slides and we try and put the power on. We just were a little bit impatient there. We had the move done, he gave us the room, but we just went deep into the corner, missed the braking point, and I'm just costing myself time. And you can already see here from this very first episode that I'm just very clumsy at the moment. I'm just not. It's that learning process, and I can admit it now. When racing on this game, this race for example, I did notice the areas were just a tad easy as we go down the inside here on Magnussen, but this time I took a heavy amount of curb on the inside line. It could have cost my car to spin around, but at least at the end of the day, I was able to get the move done. But speaking of getting the move done, Magnussen, though, isn't quite done yet, because he does come back at me, though, in towards the chicane, but eventually he does back out of it. But Magnussen tried to have a little look there and put me under pressure. As we have a little look at the field now, so we've got Hulkenberg in front of us. Max Verstappen is currently in P5. Ricciardo is in P4 at the moment. And then the two Ferraris are only just ahead. It's Sebastian Vettel that is currently in P3 at the moment. Kimi Raikkonen is in second place in this Australian Grand Prix, and Hamilton pulling away very nicely at the front in this Australian Grand Prix. Leading the way is my teammate, and of course that's not going to be good for me because of course I need to be beating my teammate, but I don't expect to in this race. We're coming in now for our first pit stop of the Grand Prix, our one and only stop now here on lap 12 to start lap 13, and my mechanics somehow have wizardry powers and get out super quickly. And as you can see, they put on the tyres. I love the sound effect of the pit stop as well. It just sounds so nice and clean, and I just feel like F1 2018 is such a clean game, is the best way to put it overall in this this year. It's just much better than it ever has been, as we now come out of the pits here, just behind Hulkenberg and also Ocon in the Force India. So we're going to have to do a little bit of overtaking to try and get past these two cars, but we're currently now down in P8, I believe it is. So we're going to be in a net P7, which you can see here. We've got some yellow flags in front. I'm not sure. It's Daniel Ricciardo, so the home favourite, Daniel Ricciardo, is out of the Australian Grand Prix. That's heartbreak for Red Bull and also for the Australian crowd, who are hoping that he could have produced some of the magic here today, and that is an absolute shame. But to be honest, that's a free position in my books. And now we're going to try and attack Nico Hulkenberg here. We've got the DRS open. We're going to squeeze towards the inside there. Literally no room there. We should have gone to the outside probably, but I was determined to grab that inside line, and we do just that now. We're up into P5 in this Grand Prix, and that was my aim for this race, was to finish in P5, and we've done just that here today. We're in P5 now, and next up the road is Max Verstappen. We've still got plenty of laps to go. We're only on lap 16 of this Grand Prix. On to lap, I can't even see it because the sun is just shining coming on lap 20 now. We've got the choice to go onto a set of the super soft tyres, and that's exactly what Hamilton's done. My teammate Hamilton has just come into the pits and sacrificed the lead of the race to come in for another set of tyres, which I'm kind of not sure why, to be honest. And now we're on to the back of Max Verstappen here, and we're going to try and find a way past him. This is the battle for second place now. Unfortunately, Sebastian Vettel, I completely forgot to show it, has actually retired from this Grand Prix, which does mean it is now a fight for P2 between myself and Verstappen. So it's getting even closer now as we head in towards the first corner here. You can see that we're just on the back of Max now, and you can see on the left hand side is Verstappen, and on the right hand side is myself and the Mercedes, and we're closing up here. No DRS. We obviously have the ERS in overtake mode as well, and we go down the inside here and not really give the AI much room, and you can get away with that, and that will back the AIs off there. And you can see that we're past Verstappen now. And here onto the final lap of the Grand Prix then. We're coming now down in towards the middle sector of the Grand Prix circuit. And yeah, overall, as we lose the back end there so slightly on the curbs. Again, curbs pretty dangerous in this game. And Verstappen now fancies the run here towards the high-speed chicane. In towards the chicane we go now, and Verstappen holds back on it. He doesn't decide to go for the move at the end and backs out of it. And you can see now that they're pressing forwards. And this is pretty much going to be where we finish. A really fun race overall. Lots of overtaking, of course, because we had to start from last on the grid to get back up to where we were, which is absolutely phenomenal. And obviously lots of retirements as well with Ricciardo. And obviously we see Raikkonen there wins the first round of the F1 2018 career modes for Ferrari there. So great result for him. We're going to come across the line though and complete the second place here for this Australian Grand Prix. Fantastic recovery drive, and obviously we were quite lucky, I think, actually, to get second place in the Grand Prix. Because if we think about it, you know, Sebastian Vettel retired from the race. That would have been P3. I don't think we would have caught Vettel. Ricciardo retired as well, so that would have been dropped us down to P4. And then you've got Hamilton as well, that made a second pit stop for some strange reason because of his strategy. So if he stuck to the one stop, which he was on par with everybody else to, that would have been P5. So we got three of the big guns that were dropped out of the way. We managed to basically get through the midfield like you tend to see a lot of the teams do in real life. But we just didn't quite... We managed to get past Verstappen, obviously. But we got lucky to get past the others today. But there you go. That is it then. You can see that we're on the podium here ahead of Verstappen. Raikkonen is next, and you can see there all of the Ferrari fans cheering away as Ferrari take the first blood out of the battle between the top three for this season. And you see the champagne flowing there. But overall, there's a lot of interesting things that I took away from the Grand Prix itself. I obviously noticed that the curbing was a lot more difficult to run with in terms of the aggression. You can't be overly aggressive on the curbs because the car will snap on you. and I just found a lot of other things that were very interesting. ERS management was pretty tough. The thing that I overall noticed is that I do need to raise the AI difficulty. Not because I came from 20th to P2. I just felt it was just a little bit too easy in some, especially in the middle sector.
Amazing performance out there. You must be really happy. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you? Everything went your way today. It looked like you had a really good strategy for the race. You scraped the walls a few times. Were you
Now this one was the very first question that I actually received, which was a little bit of a tricky question there, and it actually reduced the reputation between myself and Mercedes-Benz. But obviously she was stating that I hit the wall a few times, and in that scenario it's kind of a bad question, so you're gonna get a bad review for answering it, really, and there was no choice, really. But there it is, guys. That is going to be it for my F1 2018 Career Mode Episode 1 here for the Australian Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, feel free to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and I'll be back with more Career Modes. And I'm going to try and get some challenges out this weekend as well, and kickstart the challenges once again. But until then, guys, I will see you next time. Take care all. Peace.